So good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this session this afternoon. My name is Conrad Lyaruu, and I'm actually from Kilimanjaro, Tanzania, but reaching you now from the southwestern Finland, where I work and live for the moment. And I'm very happy to have an opportunity to moderate this session this afternoon. And I believe within this 1 hour we can have a fruitful discussion, and welcome as well to all of our participants from different parts of the world. I just want to remind you that this is a launch event, so it's not going to be any deal-making event or something like that. We're going to share experiences, hear experiences, and of course plan the future from there onwards. So without further ado, I would like to welcome our panelists, and of course on behalf of Think Africa and Ambitious Africa teams, together with the Team Tanzania, thank them for the opportunity to come here and speak and share, of course, their experiences with the rest of the participants and give the insights, pretty much of the things that we need to bear in mind when we think about technological entrepreneurship, and especially when scaling businesses to the Nordic countries or vice versa to Tanzania, which is our current topic here. So I will give the microphone now to our panelists one by one. You will have at least 2 minutes to introduce yourself, and you could tell us one of the important things that you have achieved or you have done or you have gone through during your entrepreneurial story, and especially in related to the topic that we have today. Feel free, there is no any set rules for that. But we just want to hear and learn from your experiences, and I think that's the most important part of it. I would start with Mr. Salum Awadh, our first panelist, if you are available and able to speak.
Yeah, sure, Conrad. Can you hear me?
Okay. What about Vanessa? Are you there? I think Vanessa Kisowile is online. Please introduce yourself and tell us what is that one important thing that happened throughout your entrepreneurial story, and especially related to the topic of today. Okay. So there should be some sound detail here. Can you hear me, Salum? What about Heikki?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah. Maybe you could start with introducing yourself and also let us know this one important moment in your company as a CEO of the company, which is also in Tanzania.
Perfect. So first of all, thank you for this opportunity to join this this event. So I'm the CEO and co-founder of Freed. Freed is a global discovery platform for teachers. So we are in the business of empowering teachers and improving the education globally by helping the teachers. So we are originating from Finland. We are founded 2 years ago, so we are in the beginning of our path. But Tanzania has a very special place in our heart. Reason being that 2 years ago, when we started the platform in Finland, we had a great ambition to about the global platform, and we did the first experiments in Finland. And once they were successful and we were convinced about the results, so we thought that, like, when you want to take your product global, where you go first? So we chose a bit unconventional path, I think. So we chose Tanzania. So we've never been in Tanzania. I still haven't, but Tanzania felt like a so different country that we thought that if it works in Tanzania, it works everywhere. We did a very successful pilot in Tanzania, creating a 300-strong teacher community just in a couple of weeks. And it gave us a lot of confidence, and it was like really instrumental for the future steps of our platform. Since then, I'm creating Tanzania was like a test market for us, but we see the more and more we have studied since the many African countries and Tanzania specifically, we see a lot of opportunities and cooperation opportunities, and that's I find very useful, the events like this. So maybe that was like my almost 2-minute introduction for this topic.
Very interesting introduction. So you went to a country without knowing the country, and that is really a strength of an entrepreneur, I think. So we could go to Aape, Pohjavirta. You also have been, or you are in Tanzania as well.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity to participate in this event. As mentioned, my name is Aape, and I run a mobile learning service called Funzi. The service has been used and is in use by Tanzanian entrepreneurs since 2014. But my relationship with Tanzania goes back a lot further. I started working between Africa and startups and innovation ecosystems in the global north and in Africa in 2009. And I think it was a couple of weeks before the iHub opened. So I think that I know I was the first startup activist that actually became active between Africa and the global north. I have also had an active role with other dear friends of mine in the slush and the student-driven innovation ecosystems of the global north. And I was also the initiator of Slush Global Impact Accelerator program that tried to establish a collaboration between various innovation hubs, trying to bring not just the startups, but also the ones who drive those hubs and keep those hubs running, to create a global collaboration platform between those actors. That program has ceased to exist, and hence I hope that Ambitious Africa and these activities will start taking shape and creating an active collaboration between not just the hubs, but also the entrepreneurs and all of the components that are required in the creation of innovation ecosystems. Funzi, our service, has a course that is called Founder 101. It is by far the most used entrepreneurial learning course in the world. Has been used by tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of entrepreneurs, and it also has a hub version. So I think I have made, and I've seen all of the mistakes that can be made in creating innovation ecosystems and all the failures that an entrepreneur can face. And thus, I excuse already in advance for my bluntness, because there is no sense in replicating or doing the same mistakes again and again. The luxury of the future and of entrepreneurship is the ability to create new problems and make new mistakes. I guess that's a good start from my side.
Thank you very much, Aape. And mistakes can never be avoided. You never know what is tomorrow when you are an entrepreneur. I will go to now Mr. Phesto Mwakyusa, if you are online.
Yes, hello. Well, thank you for the opportunity to be part of this. And as introduced, my name is Phesto Mwakyusa. I'm from Tanzania, and I've been living in Finland for quite a bit. My entrepreneurial story is a bit different, because initially I started a company in Tanzania that was about 11 years ago. And by the time I was having that seed of being an entrepreneur, I didn't have all what it takes. So having a knowledge of everything that needs to be done, or how much it takes, or what should I do. But that gut was there. Luckily, when I moved to Finland for studies and other pursuit, I got an opportunity to be part of founding another company here in Finland. And that turned the whole journey to something completely different that made made me who I am today, meaning that I've had a chance to learn a different environment, different ways of doing things. I became comfortable making mistakes and correcting them and learning from those mistakes as part of a journey to learn. And I've met a lot of other people, made connections, and being integrated in an environment where the foundations and the nourishment on being able to do what you are supposed to do. And actually the main point for me, being able to enjoy the mistakes and correcting them. So I have a lot of things that I think I can share along this session, but as an introduction, I think that will be enough to pave the way. But thank you.
Thank you very much, Phesto. We need to enjoy mistakes. That's a very difficult thing to do for a human being, because an entrepreneur is always thinking about having money already tomorrow. But if we have ability to enjoy that one mistake, I believe it will be an opportunity to make one step forward. So I will continue now to my colleagues in Tanzania. So is Vanessa online already? Can you hear us?
Yes,
I can hear you very well.
Can you hear
Please
me?
introduce yourself and tell us your short story for 2 minutes.
Oh, okay. So I'm Vanessa Kisowile. I started entrepreneurship when I was 21. Started selling. I would say the journey started with my father, because this person, besides working as an employed person. So maybe that's my beginning of entrepreneurship. But it's been a bit of a fascinating journey. And then after my college, I got introduced to technology entrepreneurship when I started going to uni. And yeah, since then I've had the opportunity to do business in travel industry mostly, and it has been fascinating. And working, I've also gotten a chance to work with women in technology and business. Different startups. I worked in a startup and then tried to work with different other tech entrepreneurs. Later expanded my territories when I started working with Sahara Ventures, actually as one of the lead of one of their companies, Sahara Sparks. It has been a fascinating journey, moving from being more of a player in the entrepreneurship ecosystem as a startup, and then move to an environment of being some sort of enabler. Started working with ventures. And down the line, one of the things that has been a bit very important for me is inclusion. And being in the ecosystem for quite some time now, I realize there is a bit of a gap when it comes to women entrepreneurs, especially in tech entrepreneurship. And it's good when you're working with entrepreneurs. It turns out we are seeing the same gap, and we're looking to provide the same solution. And we experienced that a lot with the Sahara Sparks events and every other project that we did. So we then co-founded an organization that's focusing on really supporting women, female entrepreneurs and female-led businesses as part of the journey to always serve and bring more value in the entrepreneurship ecosystem. Other than that, my journey is fascinating. Also, it's interesting. It's interesting also seeing how technology is transforming a lot, especially during this time. The way we looked at how businesses can be done, some of the priorities, and also, yeah, maybe that's a simple introduction. One lesson I've learned: it's entrepreneurship, it's adventure. There's a time you're going to be scared, and there's time it's just a fun ride.
As much, Vanessa. The adventure continues for you, and of course, we hope that women entrepreneurs are going to listen to your advices throughout the session today, and they could take something with them, and then possibly figure out what they could do, for example, with the Nordic colleagues afterwards through the platform that is created here today.
Definitely.
And
Definitely.
yes, you're welcome. I will go directly to Mr. Jumanne Mtambalike. I think you are online already.
Hello, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you very well. Thanks.
Okay, great. So my name is Jumanne Mtambalike. I'm a CEO and co-founder of Sahara Ventures. I have a bit of history with the Finnish people. I interacted with my first Finnish friend in 2010 when I was working with one of the first innovation hubs in Tanzania, Chemical Creation Hub, a guy called Yuka. And after that, I joined the Tanzania City project. I was a very technical person. I was a software engineer by then. That was the first time I was introduced to the concept of innovation and the concept of startups. And the rest is history. I've been doing a lot of work to support innovators and entrepreneurs in Africa. I've been working with organizations such as AfriLabs, Boon Innovation Hub, which was the first locally owned, public-owned innovation hub, which was part of the bilateral projects between the Finnish government and the Tanzanian government. We've done a lot of work with Bully. I co-founded Sahara Ventures back in 2015, and the aim was mainly to promote what is happening in the Tanzania innovation ecosystem. Whenever we travel to events like Slash or Tech Launch or Pivot East, we saw opportunities to meet with people, get exposed, get connected, but something like that was not happening in Tanzania. That was what inspired us to start Sahara Sparks. It's a marketplace, a platform where young innovators, entrepreneurs, and startups from Tanzania can potentially get access to meet with investors, potential mentors, potential partners. The rest is history. The platform has grown so much. We've been doing the same kind of event in other 8 African countries. And in 2019, for the first time, we're able to do it in the Nordic region, together with our partners, Funzi and Sync Africa and others. So it is very exciting what we do. Our mission is to build Africa's innovation ecosystem one block at a time. Since when we started, we are doing multiple events, multiple marketplaces, but we also have a physical space in Dar es Salaam, which is called Sahara Accelerator. Our focus is both corporates and venture-backed acceleration programs, but also we do a lot of work around innovation consulting and innovation for impact. And as an entrepreneur, it's a very exciting journey. My personal manifesto is that the best way to solve a problem is to build a business around it. So I love to identify complex issues from society and look at how innovation and business can be used as a tool to address them. Thank you.
Mr. Jumanne Mtambalike. Lots of experiences there already in the Nordic zone. We look forward to hear more from you as we go on. And of course, the idea of learning from complex examples is something else difficult that, of course, we will learn as we go throughout the process here. But I will now finally welcome Mr. Salum Awadh as well to introduce himself and tell us shortly his story.
Hi, Conrad, can you hear me?
Yes, if you can speak a little bit louder.
What about that?
Fantastic. That's okay.
Okay. Great. So my name is Salum Awadh. I am a CEO of SEC Capital. We are a corporate advisory and investment management firm. We have been doing this for 10 years.
We work around 5 main areas. So we do strategy consulting, investment banking, focusing on capital raising, asset management, and mergers and acquisitions. We also provide support services to private equity and venture capital space. On top of that, we also do BPO services around finance, accounting, in other internal operations of the company. My journey, I think, is quite almost the same as many other entrepreneurs of my generation. Previously worked as an employee and then moved into entrepreneurship. So my first job, I worked with the State University of New York, and then I moved to a pension fund in Tanzania, and then I quit and started my firm 10 years ago. So I'm proud of the journey that we've been through over the past 10 years. Positive stuff, bumpy roads, all the challenges that every entrepreneur usually faces. Road. And I'm happy to be part of this conversation because one of the things that we do is we help companies and multinational companies that are looking to invest in Africa. So we at the as a gateway for you to understand the markets and what could you do. We also help companies in Tanzania that want to expand and go, multinational and expand geographically. So we have a few experiences along in the space. And one major lesson, if you ask me, through my journey, I would say is you come to learn that entrepreneurship is not about a business. It's much more about behavior and how you cope with everything that is safe on your cup tea. So that's pretty much I can say for now, and I'm happy to share much more on what we do and how we can support everyone who is trying to come and expand into this market and those who are.
Thank you very much, Mr. Salum Awadh. Very vast experience there. And you mentioned something very important. You look forward for the companies to invest in Africa. And in this context, we're speaking about Tanzania now. So if you are joined by Vanessa and Jumanne, for example, and possibly Phesto, Mwakyusa, who knows the Tanzania environment, what do you think? What would you advise a person who comes to invest in Tanzania? What are the important things, especially when they think about localization, their products there or services? What do they have to know? If you can continue, Salum, if you have a possibility.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so normally what we would advise any entrepreneur who is looking to invest or do business in Tanzania for that case, we usually do what we call 3-layer analysis, where as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, you have to analyze the opportunity from 3-layer perspective. So first layer is to look and understand the environment of the country. So if, say, you are not a typical Tanzanian entrepreneur, and looking to expand into this market, you need to know that Tanzania is not Africa and Tanzania is not East Africa. Tanzania has its own jurisdiction, it has its own culture, it has its own way of doing things, its own way of doing business. So you cannot paint one Tanzania with the same brush they will probably use to paint other parts of Africa. So you need to understand this market from the macro level in terms of what drives the economy, the size of the population, the culture, the consumer behavior, and all the business environment and everything that specific to the country. And then the second layer, you need to understand the industry which you want to come and operate, because the opportunities and the challenges that you probably face in one industry might not necessarily be the same in another industry. So if you're in tech space, probably the type of challenges which are exposed to you might not necessarily be the same if you were to do something in agriculture for that case. So you need to understand the industry very well before you move into the micro opportunity where you want to do your enterprise. So the first thing is, if you're coming to do business here, the first thing to understand is the macro level. And there are a lot of things that you need to understand in that space, whether it's the tax regime, as I mentioned earlier, what type of taxes will you be exposed to, the size of the population and at what rate does the population grow. That will determine probably the future potential of the market that you want to save. If your product is for the middle class, you need to understand how big is the middle class. You go to Kenya, the middle class is 40%. You come to Tanzania, the middle class is 11%. You go to Finland, probably is even bigger than that. So you need to understand if your product is for the mass market, if your product is for the middle class, You need to know how big is the market that you want to serve in. So this is a very important aspect for you to understand if you want to do business here. I think it's the same advice that we give to Vanessa if she wants to go and set up a business in Finland, for that matter. Same stuff. You need to understand the culture of the people. You understand the consumer behavior, because the way say banking services in Tanzania would probably be different from the way a Finnish would consume banking services. So these are very important things for you to understand. And then if you want to do a business here, we strongly advise that you find easy ways for you to set your foot on the ground running. Because sometimes it could be so tough for you to start a business from the scratch, while it will be easier for you to build your business by forming local partnerships with people who have been in the business already, probably in the same industry, to work with you and to support you, because they already have the local knowledge. They know the ins and outs of the industry that you want to come in. So instead of you starting from the scratch, probably you would want to partner with companies, say like Sahara, because they know the market already, for you to use it as a jumping board to come to the market. So you don't always have to reinvent the wheel. You don't always have to start everything from the scratch. You can always form strategic partnerships that can help you to do business in that particular market. The last thing that I want to share is everything now comes down to the business model that you have designed for your business. Some business models are very difficult to scale geographically, and some are easy to do that. So if you see Uber now operates in more than 10, 15 countries, it comes down to the way the business model is designed to become geographically a scalable business model. So if your business model is limited to operate in one market, this is going to be difficult for you to expand and grow into this market. So you have to go back to the drawing board and look at your business model and ask yourself whether your business model has all the ingredients necessary for you to scale geographically and operate in one or two markets, which will be easier for you to do. Otherwise, you're going to struggle, you're going to burn your cash, and it's going to be difficult for you to penetrate the markets that you want to come in.
Fantastic. Thanks very much. Does Jumanne, Phesto, or Vanessa has something to add, at least within 3 minutes to come?
I can add something there. I'll be short. I think Salum said something which is very, very important. I've been having this conversation a lot of time with my Finnish friend who are also entrepreneurs who want to push their product or services in Africa, not only in Tanzania. And always their biggest scary is understanding the local context. But I think what I would encourage them to do is to, first of all, understand being an entrepreneur, it means you need to take risk. And for you to be able to explore new markets, you need to form strategic partnerships and collaboration, which can allow you to leverage resources between your two sides. When we came to Finland last time, what we were looking to do basically was to do that, to study and understand the ecosystem, what is there, what can we offer, what opportunities can we create ourselves. So other Finnish startups or Nordic startup can do the same thing. We see it happening, of course, with our Asian counterparts. You see Chinese and Indians coming to Africa, specifically Tanzania. They do market studies, they do research, they partner with local companies and the locals, and they start to explore the market, they start to do stuff from the scratch. So this is extremely important. So Africa is a market, it's a big market. You're speaking about a population of 1.2 billion people. The Tanzanian population is also rising high. Dar es Salaam is one of the fastest growing cities in the world. We are attaining mega city status. So there's a lot of opportunity here, but if you want to explore that, you cannot do it over Zoom call or Skype call. You really need to come here, understand the context, engage with the local innovation ecosystem and the like. So that is what I would advise.
For your insights. And Phesto, I will quickly ask you this question as a connection to our Finnish counterparts, Heikki and Aape then. What would you think? Would an African or Tanzanian entrepreneur be able to invest in the Nordic region? And Basically, now, if you can use just a minute, and then I will go to Aape and Heikki, if you can help us to tell us what should this Tanzanian entrepreneur who wants to scale up towards Finland, for example, need to know beforehand. So Phesto first.
Well, thanks. It's definitely possible, and why not? I think it comes down to the mindset of what we think. Most of the time when people talk about investment, it's usually in terms of cash or funding. And of course, there are people who would come here and put their funds into some projects or some ideas or some innovation. But also, there are skills that can be invested. There are ideas that can be invested. There are business ideas that can be invested, meaning that products or business connections or infrastructure that can be invested in Finland. The only thing, from my perspective, that hinders this is the mindset and understanding of the culture. And this has been cultivated deep inside many of us. And this plays both ways. I would say here an example in Tanzanians and the Nordic counterparts. And if I can elaborate on that, most of the time, there is an idea of a leader and a follower. And even in these kind of hubs or innovation ideas or capacitation, there are these ideas of a leader and a follower. And most of the time when you find a collaboration between, let's say, a Tanzanian entrepreneur with a Finnish counterpart entrepreneur, most of the times, if you dig deeper, you'll see that a Tanzanian entrepreneur will play as a part of a follower, and the Finnish entrepreneur will be in a part of a leader. But now it becomes a problem whereby if the investment has to be done in Tanzania, then a leader is somebody who doesn't know the environment, while the follower is somebody who was supposed to be leading because he understands the environment, which is vice versa to investing in Finland. If somebody comes here and then a person in Finland takes a role as a leader and the person who wants to invest is a follower, the one who will be leading, if he doesn't understand what to lead or doesn't understand to take advantage of the environment or the investment environment that will enable the business to grow, that becomes a challenge. So there's a mindset that needs to be identified and modified between the collaboration of these two parts, and anything can be possible, either investing in Tanzania by a Finn or investing in Finland by a Tanzanian.
So that's very, very good insight, and especially for my colleagues from Tanzania. But of course, Aape and Heikki are here. They have invested in Tanzania, but also they are Finns. And many times we have investments or scaling. We speak about investments and scaling here, but ideal is to either have a partner or then sell your product, or then starting a new operations in either Nordic country or Tanzania. This is the whole concept you're looking at it at the moment. But then Heikki and Aape, what would you recommend to a Tanzanian company wanting to scale here in Finland, even by bringing just a product to the Finnish shops, let's say? If I can start with you, Aape.
Yeah, thank you. This is kind of a, remember, I have already asked for your forgiveness about me being blunt. Finland is if your product is to people who have no hair and gray beard and are growing older, then Finland is a good place. The Finnish market is not a growing market. This is an economy that is, there are very few products that I would look at, bringing into the Finnish market. I think, and my focus has been throughout my entrepreneurial career that has started in the late 80s, has been to look at digital and what digital can do, because digital doesn't know any boundaries. Digital can scale once it succeeds. And I think that the point is, and we haven't talked about, and this is something that almost troubles me, because we have spent almost 40 minutes on this panel and nobody has talked about the users, those individuals for whom the successful entrepreneurs are building products. The future is, a better future is shaped by entrepreneurs who understand the problems that the users have and then use their own skills and cunning and entrepreneurial thinking in creating solutions that solve the problems of those users. In the age of digital and mobile and mobility, it does not matter where those users are. The digital market space is digital, and thus the interesting markets are those that grow, like Tanzania grows. So, and looking at how on a systems level, starting from the East African markets, M-Pesa, the mobile money, and those things have actually changed the way the whole societies work. And that has taken place during the last decade in Africa, and that has not yet happened in the global north. So my advice is, and this is to all entrepreneurs alike around the world in any market, look at the users, look at a growing market, look at a problem that no one is solving, create a good solution, and then build on that success. Keep things simple. The most difficult thing to create in the world and in the universe is simplicity. There's nothing easier than creating complex and complexity around ideas. But if you focus on simple things, then things become understandable. People can buy them, people can use them. And if they are things that everyone understands, then they cannot be replicated because they are so simple that it is you who should run the business. So my advice is focus on things that you know, ask new questions, and give answers to those questions that are relevant to as many as possible. I don't know whether this is too philosophical for you, but I think that this is the essence of what the future of our world is.
What would be one example of that simple thing, let's say, from anywhere around the world that could be brought into Finland, which is not here? I think our participants will be very eager to kind of hear this type of opportunities. And we're speaking about the technology scaling here, and we could focus more into that definitely, if you have any idea. And of course, on the other way, what could be that simple thing that is still missing, for example, in Tanzania, that Finnish colleagues will be able to explore that possibility? If I could,
I think if I may give a short response to that, we are with Funzi solving the simple solution of how to change the world learns. We have currently reached a level where the solution that we provide is simple and it solves a very complex and complicated problem. My sole focus is on that. I have absolutely no time in thinking about what else could I solve. This is my problem.
Thank you. And what about Heikki? Would you have some additions to that? And I would.
Yeah,
please.
Yeah, please go on. Yeah, I think like what Salum told about elaborated the Tanzanian market. I think those kind of rules apply in Finland. It's all about understanding the local context. So I mean like the same. That's why I find these discussions so fruitful. That I can't think any different way. So I think it's once you know the local markets, once you have a scalable product, then the market can be whatever, including Finland. Of course, we are a nation of 5.5 million people. And there are some limitations, and what also Aape told, but I feel that I have nothing to add in that question. And then specifically education, it's always very local.
That's a very important point, and I hope in the next session that could be touched even more. But to all of you, I wanted to ask this question, especially maybe to Vanessa. You spoke about the women entrepreneurs here. What would be your advice to the women entrepreneurs into the technology field, for example? What should they be comfortable with, and which areas do you think would be more comfortable for them to be in? Because I think we know the numbers are still lower, and you have mentioned yourself. Yes, I think there is some sound. Yeah. Yes.
Is Vanessa is Vanessa taking this, or can I just give a short rant?
You can give the short short rant. That's right.
The following statement is based on undisputable scientific facts. The only place where in our world the population actually grows is in the sub-Saharan Africa. In order for humanity to remain stable, the communities and the societies in that region need to create middle classes, a thing that needs to be developed. In all of the other areas of the world, middle classes have been created by industrialization. In sub-Saharan Africa, industrialization will not take place over the next 15 years so that it would have a strong enough transformative impact on the society. That means that the new 1 billion jobs that have to be created into sub-Saharan Africa over the next 20 years have to be formed through creation of new corporations that are established in the services or digital sectors. That means that if 1 out of 10 companies becomes successful and employs 10 people, then that means that over the next 2 decades, we need to create 100 million successful corporations into the sub-Saharan Africa. If 1 out of 10 succeeds, that means that we need to create 1,000 million embryos for companies to start expanding. Now, in addition to this, the ones who should lead those corporations are women, because women are so much better in dealing with financial resources in capital scarce regions of the world. That means in order for humanity to survive, we have to create 1 billion companies that are in sub-Saharan Africa over the next 2 decades, and the majority of them should be and must be run by women. Anything and everything else that does not lead to a scale that is sufficient will just be a nice to do effort. And thus, I end my rant. Remember, undisputable scientific facts. Women must run those changes.
Women must run it. Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay, great. Sorry, it seems I had some difficulties. Thank you, Aape. That's very interesting, and I agree with you 100%. So before I go to how women entrepreneurs can actually take opportunity that currently isn't, and I think it's accelerated by access of technology. But generally, I wanted to contribute in the idea of how can startup generally expand, whether it's in Tanzania or in Finland or any other area. I'm glad my colleagues have really spoken a lot about everything when it comes to market and context, but also I think also understanding the business ecosystem of the business or the industry you really want to expand is very important. You might find out there are loopholes that might either hinder you in whatever stage of the to expand to that area, or you might find yourself within that particular industry, within that specific business, there are a couple of holes, or there are a couple of things you need to do to reach the level to which you want your business to reach for you to be able to expand in that region. So I think that's also very important, and understanding the business value chain of your business and seeing what are the loopholes within the country to which you want to expand to. So going down to women taking opportunity with the current technology trend, Yes, the numbers in Africa generally, entrepreneurship is driven by women because they are the ones running almost the 50 point something % of the small businesses, which is the small businesses that run the economy of this country. I mean, of this continent generally, and in Africa, I mean, in Tanzania specifically, it's massive. The challenge that we have is expanding, I think, which is very important if we really want to support this particular group to be able, whether it's to grow, scale their business, or to just expand to other regions. It's accelerates the access, the digital access, and digital literacy. So there are a number of women who are using social media, for instance, whether it's Instagram or others, to do the business. But the challenge is they can't go beyond that. There are as few things or as small things as simple as Google Drive. But there are also women who are really doing I can't call them complex business, but massive businesses. Whether it's like food processing and the like, and they could have expanded to other countries, even within Africa, or the kind that produce these vintage products or local products, whether are what we call shangas and all that. They could definitely use technology, whether it's using Etsy, to sell their product. But the challenge is either they don't have access to that, or where they are, internet is an issue for them to even attend some of our meetings, or some of the meetings we have done with our Holland partner. They literally had to move from where they are to get into cafe to access internet. And this is a woman that you're to really, for them to be able to expand their business. So I believe it's very important to look at different loopholes that are within the business ecosystem to be able to support all these businesses, including female businesses in Tanzania and in Africa generally, to be able to expand and to be able to grow within the region, and then to be able to, through collaboration, strategic partnerships, and add a little bit of safe policies. Is it? I don't know if using safe as a word is proper, but friendly policies that allow them to do trading with other countries. I think that will be that will make it easy for even the business ecosystem itself in Africa to grow and create an environment to expand by using technology, or as technology being a tool.
Thanks very much, Vanessa. Very actually interesting insights on the women and technology there. And I hope there will be someone or some kind of a platform that will start addressing the relationships of these two, being on the social media and utilizing technology without knowing that they can do more. But our time is running, and I think we have only 9 minutes. Yeah. This was very short session. However, I would need to use the coming 5 minutes strictly for each one of you to tell who would you like to cooperate with from either Nordic countries or Tanzania, and how. Just one sentence. We shouldn't make a long story because we don't have much time. Because the idea here is to see what is the way forward. So if I start with Heikki, in terms of scaling your business, that means cooperating with somebody else, or then maybe not necessarily starting another company anywhere. Who would you like to work with? In which area, for example?
Well, short answer, we want to connect with the EdTech community in Africa, meeting the teachers, think about the ways to set entity at some point in Africa. And even with our short experience on the market and the region, still like the more it makes also sense at some point. But we want to reach teachers, entrepreneurs in this order.
Thanks a lot. What about you, Aape?
Yeah, thank you. I think that we are currently happy with what we're doing. We're executing a plan and we are successfully with that. But for this larger agenda, I do think that we would need to establish a collaborative network between the hubs, create a core curriculum that can be shared amongst those hubs, so the focuses of those hubs could become more locally relevant, and then add the educational component to the entrepreneurial thinking, meaning that we need to create these very successful things that we have created in Finland, entrepreneurial societies within the universities and the universities of applied science, and now later also in high schools. We need to create a platform where it's not about the best practices, it's about the good practices that work, scaling them and enabling people to find out what others are doing, preventing them from doing the same things again and again and again and again and again, and I went on repeat. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, Aape. What about Salum?
Yeah, so I think because we work in the space of funding and capital raising, so we typically work with anyone. So if there's any Tanzanian entrepreneur who is looking to expand, whether locally or going to and if they're looking for growth capital, we are happy to work with. If it's a Finnish company looking to come and do business in Tanzania, they need additional investment, we are happy as well to work with the company and see how we can support them to unlock funding to the company for them to achieve their growth plans.
Salum. What about Jumanne?
For us, we are so much interested in becoming one of the leading futuristic companies in Africa. So we are slowly starting to focus on tech transfer and research commercialization. So if you have any technology that is doing so good and is targeting developing economy in the global south, and you're looking for a strategic partner to penetrate that technology or solution or innovation, we'll be there to work with you.
Thanks a lot, Jumanne. What about you, Phesto? You have the two visions here, Finland and Tanzania at the same time. So you can choose what is best for you.
Yeah, I think the best for me will be focusing in Tanzania. And this will come as a strange idea, but for me, I've entered the venture of what to do to empower my society back home to create what Aape has just said, an entrepreneurial society. And I come from a technical background, and we have a pandemic or a problem in our education system, mainly in technical education system back home, whereby there's no injection or integration of anything related to entrepreneurial agendas or curriculum, which means our technical people who are supposed to be foundation of making these ideas, they don't have an idea of being an entrepreneur or creating a business around that. I've teamed with a few friends, and then I'm looking for people like Heikki and Aape to kind of learn more what we can do to make those ideas start to integrate into those small amount of people like those technicians who comes into the working environment to start having that seed of being entrepreneurial. And then maybe from there, something else will be growing around. So I would like to connect with people like that, and that's my goal.
Thanks a lot. And I think our time is really running out. We have only 3 minutes, and the other session will start actually for education.
I think I haven't paid.
Yeah, please. If you can use a minute, please. Sorry, I forgot.
It's okay, I understand. So for me, first, I would really love to connect with the tech entrepreneurship ecosystem in Finland. I had the grace to be there last year. It was fascinating, really. The one thing that I really learned a lot is how the value chain within me. So I really like to learn that. And another thing was an emphasis on talent. So I would really like to work with the organization on talent acceleration and talent exchange. So yeah.
Wonderful.
It will be good for us.
Yes, and all of these are focusing then in partnership. We are reminded to remember to book one-to-one sessions in the deal room if someone would like to talk to somebody, because it's very important to formulate these type of things or partnerships when we are thinking about scaling our own businesses. It's a pity that the time is too short, but I would once again like to thank very much all of the panelists who are here with us and all the organization team who has been working very hard to make this session of a success. I will need to now move you to the next session, which will start in a minute time. And I believe there will be a lot of complementary continuations there. But for now, I would like to also wish you a very good afternoon. Since there were no questions, I think we will meet in the next session. Have a nice afternoon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, John.